What's going on, y'all? So this morning, we're going to talk a bit about basic human psychology, which is interesting because, hey, buddy, to me, it's what makes all these conversations fun.
We're good. It tripped me out because it's clear and it looked like it was exploding.
Oh, yeah.
We're fine.
We're winding some clear bobbins for a special project this morning. Okay, so we're going to talk about basic human psychology and how it pertains to guitar stuff and what makes these conversations about tone, wood, and all this stuff so interesting. I find it interesting, and I find it, to be honest with you, entertaining. Of course, I get challenged often about the fact that people don't like, that I don't like it when people disagree with me. No, actually, I think it's really, really neat. And here's why. Because I look beyond the basic disagreement of I enjoy the disagreement, but the thing is that people aren't actually disagreeing. Okay? That's different. What they're doing really is they're trying to protect their own identity and their own belief system. So there's a couple of things that happen when we make a video that is myth busting, or we make a video that is like the other day, all I did was just ask a bunch of questions. I genuinely have questions about this stuff, because when you're trying to prove something, the first thing you do is you ask the question, right? That's where the testing starts, because you're like, okay, what do I not know? You have to understand what you don't know. You have to what do I not know? And you have to make a list of those things, and you have to dive into that, right? So I'm not trying to prove anybody wrong, ever, really, to be honest with you. I'm never actually trying to change anybody's mind. I'm trying to answer my own questions about things so that I can be personally more accurate when I say something, because I don't want to sound dumb. And also because I just want to know. We're always wanting to know stuff. And I have opinions about things, which we all do, which is cool. But in these contexts, I think what really happens is when you ask a question, you create a cognitive dissonance for people. And that's a lot more uncomfortable than being proven wrong, because what you're doing is you're questioning a belief, you're questioning a stance. Okay, so cognitive dissonance basically is where, here, I have the definition of it right here. Hang on. It's the tension, basically, that exists. It's not the definition. I just have a little rundown of it. It's the tension that exists in your brain as a result of you believing something or thinking something, and then being presented with a set of facts or ideas that challenge that or contradict that. And then now you don't know what to do with that idea. And that's basically what happens, I think. I think what happens with a lot of this stuff is when you're presented with a question, it doesn't even have to be you're wrong. It doesn't even have to be any of that. It just is presented with a question. Okay, if people want to believe in tone wood, then how do we test it, right? Was basically the question at the root of the question that I asked the other day. So you're challenging the person who says, but I already believe this. So there's no reason to. I can't explain it, or I can't defend it. I don't have a reasonable way to test it. But I'm still just going to believe it. And so that gap in between, cognitive dissonance, is a pain point for people. And so what happens is it turns into emotion instead of logical problem solving, which is where I try to live because I'm an engineer. That's what I do. So you go to problem solving and testing to solve that pain point. I have those pain points all the time, but I put them into myself on purpose. I believe a thing, or I think I know a thing. I present myself with questions, or I'm presented by you with questions, And then I have to say, okay, let me test this. How do I test this? Whatever. And I have that same cognitive dissonance too. We all do when we're presented with something we don't believe or don't understand or don't understand or don't know. And we have to close that gap. So the logical thing to do is figure out how to get to the answers to those questions accurately, logically, right? But I think what happens with most people, just general human psychology, and I'm not a psychologist, but human psychology, is that they deflect to mental gymnastics, which basically ends up being trying to resolve the issue with emotions instead of facts, which is what happens, which is very interesting. And so this is the challenge, actually. Hey, buddy. When trying to understand human beings for sales, for customer service, for, we could talk about the comment section, but really what I'm trying to do is solve for customer service, solve for sales funnel, solve for product development, right? All those things. What is people's psychology doing so that I can develop a good product so that we can bridge that gap between knowing a fact and also appealing to an emotion. That's the trick. So I think, and I know that for many of you probably lost me by now, but that's what's really, really important here for me personally, is, okay, understanding the emotion of the person, but also translating that into something that, I need to sell products to live, right? Like that's how everybody does. That's what we do. So, if you're an insurance salesman, you have to do the same thing. Realize a pain point, understand how to solve that pain point, and present them with something that does that. Right? That's what you have to do. So cognitive dissonance is important. The problem is the mental gymnastics that comes into that gap. So this is where it's really important for you as a guitar player to understand what's happening in the comment section, okay? And also what you're contributing to when you're talking about this stuff. Very, very interesting stuff. So there's a few different ways people do this. Okay, so I made a list. I've been thinking about this all night. So I made a list. So if you ask me why I didn't sleep very well, it's probably because I'm freaking thinking about video ideas. Okay, so first thing you're going to do is you're going to deflect. Well, this is subjective anyway, so why does it matter? Translation, I can't defend the way I feel, so I'm going to change the rules of the conversation. But I want to bring them back to, for example, Tonewood stuff, but there has to be rules to understand it. So there has to be some physical law that we can measure, right? So I'm not allowing you to deflect. I want to bring this back to something technical so that we can understand it. Then the straw man comes out. Well, so now you're saying nothing matters, because but I have a Emerald acoustic guitar, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm not saying nothing matters. I'm not saying nothing. I'm asking a question. Where is that crossover point? Where does something matter? It could be Tonewood. It could be pickup wire. It could be whatever. And for many things, there's a scientific answer. When does it matter and when does it not? Capacitor material, all those things. There is usually, for most things, there is a scientific reason why it matters and why it does not. It's very simple most of the time because the engineering goes into a guitar is very simple. So it might be complicated for people who are not educated in this stuff. Electronics is, hey, all electronics was voodoo and magic until people understood it, right? So, really, you flip a switch and something moves by itself. Holy crap, that's magic until you understand the science. So I don't want to be condescending to anybody about that, but it's actually a very simple engineering that goes into an electric guitar. So it's not that hard. So it's not that nothing matters. I'm asking a narrow question and then being presented with a ridiculous position that does not exist, right? Nothing matters. Well, okay, you're just being obtuse for no reason. And then there's the appeal to authority, which is, Joe Bonamassa, blah, 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 blah. So therefore, okay, you're borrowing someone else's confidence, and their confidence is not correct always. Just because Eric Clapton did it, just because Joe Bonamassa did it, it just means that he did it wrong in the 70s instead of in 2026, whatever. Or he glommed onto this idea in a different time period, or he makes more money than you glomming onto this idea in this time period. So therefore, you put confidence in his confidence, but he might not be correct either. So, because science wins, and challenging science also wins. Science isn't an absolute; it's constantly moving. So all those things, appeal to authority is kind of dumb. Then, of course, there's the personal attack, which this one I care about kind of the least because it just shows itself, which is, the anger of the personal. You don't know what you're talking about. Maybe I don't, but I'm trying to present you with questions. This is just a question. These are just questions. Let's learn this stuff. I enjoy not knowing things because I like learning things, and you have to not know them first. So I actually like not knowing things. So if I don't know what I'm talking about, I will say I don't know what I'm talking about. And then I will learn so that I do know what I'm talking about. Like, that's fun. That's life. That's what we should all do. I think it's really fun. It's not an argument. You don't know what you're talking about is not an argument. It is your discomfort in your cognitive dissonance leaking out of you to others. That's basically what that is. And then, of course, there's moving the goalposts. And it's like, yeah, but what about acoustic guitars? Dude, okay, stop. Yeah, we could just stop that one. Anecdote as proof is probably one of the bigger ones. Yeah, but I tried this. I have a friend who has 30 guitars, and he tried all this stuff. I watched another video, and they tested such and such and such and such. Everybody wanted to quote Jim Lill, which I think is really cool because that's a really interestingly done test. Still doesn't answer the question, really. It brings us further, of course, but it's not an absolute. Yeah, I tried it. I've done this and I've done that, and I've had 3 of these, and I've been playing guitar for. There's always the credibility,
I've been playing longer than you.
Yeah, I've been playing as long as you or longer than you, and so therefore I've been playing so many years. I'm like, okay, well, that just means that you've been thinking this way longer than me. It doesn't mean you're right. The bona fides guy. That's what we call him, the bona fides guy. He's going to quote his bona fides at the beginning of his comment. Those are just that's just anecdotes. That's not proof. Hey, buddy, your toenails are digging into my leg. Okay, and then this is probably, we're going to get into a couple of things here that are really, really key to all of this. And I know this is getting long, but this is really neat stuff. Identity defense. If this is true, then I've been wrong and I don't want to admit it. It's a hard pill to swallow. Engineers are actually in the business of being wrong. We always used to say that we would blow stuff up on purpose. Like, you run it until it breaks, you pick up all the pieces and go, okay, what was wrong? Oh, hey, that's neat. This exploded because there was this thing that I did wrong. Okay, let me fix it. Like, that's the way I look at life. I actually love being wrong because you're trying to always get better, right? Which is really fun. And you're getting better and better and better. And then you can plot those points and you can continue to improve. The problem is that when you believe something and you try to believe it despite evidence or despite willingness to question your beliefs, then it becomes this whole problem, which is super weird. So this is the thing. I don't tell you you're wrong. I just challenge conclusions. That's all I do. All I do is just challenge, okay, if this is what everybody says, why do they say it? One of the things, my daughter will attest to this, one of the things that my wife has always done with the kids since they were real little was if they come to them with something they think, I think such and such, the very first question she would ask is, why do you believe what you believe? I don't care what you believe. If you come to me with a belief, why do you believe it? Okay. And then you start backing up through all these steps we just talked about. Is it because somebody told you? Is it because you were forced to believe? Is it because it's something that everybody believed for a long time and then you just sort of glommed onto it? But when you start to challenge that and it starts to break down, then the kids are like, oh, wait, I need to find out for myself. And they're really smart because of that. And you should be too. I think that's what should happen. I think when somebody is challenged by something, i.e., science, testing, other ideas, that you should be willing to say, well, okay, hang on. You're right in that I've been thinking this because somebody told me I thought this. Now, what do I actually think for myself and why? And when it comes to this point, is this now something that I should look further into and maybe revise how I feel about it? Despite my personal emotions, despite my personal pride, despite anything. Very interesting. It's very interesting stuff. And like I said, the whole reason I do it is because it's neat. All this stuff's really neat. It's neat learning about people. I think people are not very willing to learn about themselves. Thanks for hanging out.